976 Evil 2 from Sintel Films. Released April 22nd, 1992. Starring Patrick O'Brien. Produced by Paul Hertzberg and Lisa M. Hansen. Written by Eric Andenow under a pseudonym. So, yeah, he didn't want to put his name on the project, anyways. And directed by the legendary B-movie director Jim Wynorski, who's also done, like, Chopping Mall, The Return of Swamp Thing, Piranhaconda, and Deathstalker 2, to name a few. He has, like, almost, like, 50 credits to his name. And, yeah. But 976 Evil 2, The Fatal Conflict, I think, is the title of the actual film. But, yeah, anyways. Yeah, it's a sequel to 976 Evil, which was directed by Robert Englund. It was his first directorial debut, and it was a smash hit. And basically, the concept of this franchise is that back in like the 80s and 90s, they had phone numbers you could call for like as like hotlines. So you'll call like 976 sex for like to do like phone sex and stuff like that. Where 976 Evil is like a cult where it gives you superpowers if you sell your soul, basically, and you can cause crazy things and make sure your dreams come alive, basically. So, and what you wish. So, 976 Evil 2, you follow Stan, I think his name was, the main character, and he starts worshiping this phone line, and yeah, where when he sleeps, you have outer body. He could leave his soul can leave his body and cause harm as a spirit. So yeah, he basically calls uses a hotline to gain this power, and he ends up going on a crazy killing spree, basically tormenting people that he doesn't like and stuff like that. So, and it's up to Spike, I think his name is, from the first one, and some young girls who just are aware of it. So even if it's like your first time going in, like you haven't seen the first one, but you're watching the second one first, they do explain it a bit, just so you have a good understanding of it. And yeah, it was pretty neat concept for a film franchise, to be honest. And this one definitely has a lot of cool like special effects and stuff like that. And it's pretty special effects heavy, especially it's pretty surprising since it's like a lower budget film. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of unexplained stuff that happens in it though too. So basically, Stan um, gets involved with this. I think he is actually in the original, and he's like one of the characters that carried over to the sequel, and so he's like the main villain, and yeah, anyone who slowly comes like close to like solving it basically dies and stuff, like your typical slasher film, and yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff. Like he takes control of a woman's car who somehow has a phone that's not even made in that model of car, and a radio that's not even that model for that car. And yeah, takes control of it, tries to get her hooked into it, and she doesn't. So he drives her into a power station, and it's like cool, massive explosions and stuff. And then like the teens that like are who are uncovering what's going on, he slowly starts like trying to get to them, whether it's in their dreams or doing it in real life. One of the girls, Robin, she was like was like watching films with I think the other main character, Beth, I think her name was. But yeah, watched it a few days ago, so I'm terrible with names anyway. So that's that. Anyways, so yeah, they're like watching stuff, and there's some really like a really cool scene where they're flipping through and they're trying to decide to watch Night of the Living Dead or It's a Wonderful Life. And they're flipping back and forth, and then they finally settle on to watch It's a Wonderful Life. And then Beth goes to make popcorn, and all of a sudden, Stan shows up as like holding a remote on the TV and manages to um, pull Robin into the film, where she's basically being a part of It's a Wonderful Life, and then they turn into zombies from the Night of the Living Dead, and then kill her. And there's like a lot of random, interesting, funny things like that happen. But the pacing issue, there's quite a big pacing issue in this film, where yeah, a lot of cool stuff happens, but then there's a long time in between each interesting thing. A lot of dialogue, pointless dialogue, a lot of like doing your typical how discussions on how to do it, which you kind of have to do to construct a narrative. But overall, it was daunting. This is an hour and a half. Could have been like an hour and 20 minutes, trimmed down 10 minutes of just like the running around and stuff like that, and it would have been probably a little smoother. But yeah, it's very basic type premise setup, but it has a cool concept. All there's even like they go to Stan's house, and as well Spike does, the guy from the first one, and he uncovers some like the phone hotline, and then the house tries to kill him. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming alive. There's some pretty shoddy CG nowadays of guns coming off the wall and stuff. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff, some okay stuff, and a long periods of in between those not so decent dialogue and stuff like that. A lot of stuff doesn't get explained. Like there's one scene where Stan comes and he basically picks up Beth's arm or whatever, and it glows. They don't explain it or why it's in it. It's just there. So there's stuff like that that's like a little cheesy and odd, but overall it's really enjoyable. And one thing I absolutely wasn't really a huge fan of was how they ended this film. So I'm gonna spoil this a bit, but whatever. It's from 1980 or 92, sorry. So yeah, whatever. The way they beat them is like they have a cool like little road race, then they stop and Spike one punches him and he falls off a cliff. And that's that. How is that an ending? Like that's not climactic at all. It's just like a quick, okay, film's done. After running and trying to blow him up and stuff like that. So the ending is pretty lackluster to say the least, but overall it's an enjoyable film. It's a good follow-up to the first one. I think a lot of people rip on this for some reason, but I think if you're into like the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise or even like Phantasm and stuff like that, you might find these films interesting to check out and stuff like that. So yeah, if that's up your alley, this one's probably more for you. If you're more into like just straightforward slashers and other things like that, you might not find this one very interesting. Also, the humor in it's hit miss quite a bit too, just to let you know. But for me, I thought this one was really enjoyable. It was enjoyable, but it definitely could have been better. But for what it was interesting. I'm gonna give this one a 3.5 out of 5. Because I actually enjoyed it and had fun with it. It was a fun little ride, but definitely not as fun as the next review I'm gonna do. So yeah, so make sure you stay tuned. But anyways, yeah, there's a trailer link down below if you want to check it out. If you haven't heard of it or you want to relive it, check it's linked down below. My Instagram's always linked down below too. I post clips of films I'm going to review in the future on my story all the time, as often as I can. Remember to do that. I also hide the title of the film in a hashtag somewhere in the video clip. So if you want to either guess or just try to find it and figure out what I'm watching, go for it. It's on my Instagram. That's linked down below. I also put the subgenre of films that I'm watching on there too, so in case it's something you're not interested in or something that you can't handle, you're aware of it, just so I don't have people complaining and whining to me all the time. So yeah, make sure you follow me on Instagram to stay in the loop. If you have any other films, any films at all, it doesn't have to be horror or anything, and you want to hear my opinions on, comment those down below too. I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can. Make sure that you like this video, share it somewhere people are aware of it, and make sure you subscribe, because you never know what the hell I'm going to talk about next. But I have a feeling I'm going to be watching a lot of B movies right now, so I'm in that kind of mood. So definitely subscribe, and I guess I'll see you in the next review. Cheers.